Acts 8, 18 and 19. When Simon saw this, that the Holy Spirit was given, when the apostles placed their hands upon the people's heads, he offered money to buy this power. And so oftentimes we see how they buy, we see in Acts how Paul goes to places where they build idols. We see even people raising animals for sacrifices to be sold. And that's how they make a living. So we see how the idea of buying God's favor is, first off, that's deep-rooted in our flesh, where we want to do something to prove God and earn salvation, which paying for it would be a way of saying we gained it, not just working for it. But if we can pay for it without that work, then we get as much credit as we earned it ourselves. So this is a very human, fleshly aspect that he's having here. It's kind of that same attitude. We can do something to get God's favor, which we can't. It's only by Christ we have God's favor. But this is solely for the Holy Spirit. It's most likely that Simon, other than this group of people that's been around, didn't personally firsthand witness the Holy Spirit on people. Of course, he would have heard stories, but by his reaction, he always turned to his sorcery because he knew there's power in that. He had first-hand witness of that. So most likely, other than hearing distant, because at this point the disciples were starting to spread. And they hadn't fully spread out yet because Paul came on the scene. But for the most part, they're starting to move. There's still some in Jerusalem, but they're starting to move away. You have Peter and John still here, but the other are probably off somewhere else by this point. So most likely he didn't see, because the church was isolated, being persecuted. They were, other than the apostles, they would have been hidden, kind of. It would have been known about them, but in Jerusalem, they would have been hidden. So his first-hand knowledge ain't there. So the fact that he sees a power greater than his sorcery, he wants to gain that. And as Christians, we know that the power of the Holy Spirit is something special. But what is here is it can't be bought by anything we did. It was bought by Christ's blood. That's the only thing that could buy it. But what Simon did realize is God's power is greater than his own. And to be Christian, we have to come to that place in acceptance and be willing to submit to his power rather than try to form things out of our own. Verse 19, "Let me have this power too," he exclaimed, "so that when I lay my hands on people, they will receive the Holy Spirit." So what he's asking for isn't bad. Just the way he's going about it. And oftentimes what we want to do, once we understand who Christ is and see who he is, what we want to do isn't in itself bad, but the way we go about it. The way he was going about doing this, trying to buy it, was bad. Him wanting to give people the Holy Spirit was a very good thing. And it's something we should always be willing to do, the work of the Holy Spirit as Christians. But sometimes people can be motivated by doing it for fame, money. And it's similar to what Simon was doing here, because his attitude wasn't in the right place. We see that by him wanting to offer money. So he may have been doing this to give people the Holy Spirit, but there's self-motivation behind it. And if we're serving God, doing things out of service to God, but there's self-motivation behind it, we're doing it to glorify ourselves, or we're doing it to gain money or power, then it's in the wrong. We serve God to be submissive and glorify him.